custom duty. So firstly, we should know the meaning of custom duty. Customs duty is a kind of indirect tax which is realized on goods of international trade. In economic sense, it is also a kind of consumption tax. Duties levied by the government in relation to imported items are referred to as import duty. In the same vein, duties realized on export consignments are called export duty. Tariff, which is actually a list of commodities along with the leviable rate or amount of customs duty, is popularly understood as customs duty. The different duties under custom duty in India are: basic duty. This is the general kind of duty levied under the Customs Act 62. Additional duty, countervailing duty. This duty is levied under the Customs Tariff Act Section 3 Part 1. Anti-dumping duty. This duty prevents the dumping of foreign goods by the transnational companies. Protective duty. This duty protects the interest of the Indian industrial sector. Export duty. This duty is levied on the exports of goods. The custom duty in India is one of the most important tariffs. The custom duty in India is regulated by the Customs Act of 1962. The main purpose of the custom duty in India is the prevention of the illegal export and import of goods. The rates of the custom duty levied on the imported and exported goods are assigned in the Customs Act 1962. The acts and regulations under the custom duty in India are: foreign trade, exemption from application of rules in certain cases, Order 1993, Customs Act 1962, Accessories Condition Rules 1963, Specified Goods Rules, Prevention of Illegal Export 1969, Re-export of Imported Goods Rules, Drawbacks of Custom Duties 1995, Notice of Short Export Rules 1963, Accessories Condition Rules 1963, Specified Goods Rules, Prevention of Illegal Export 1969, Re-export of Imported Goods Rules, Drawback of Custom Duties 1995, Notice of Short Export Rules 1963, Customs Rules, Publication of Names 1975, Rules of Determination of Origin of Goods under the Agreement on South Asian Free Trade Area (SAFTA), Customs Tariff, Identification and Assessment of Safeguard Duty Rules 1997, Baggage Rules 1998, Customs Tariff, Determination of Origin of Other Preferential Areas 197. After studying this lesson, you should be able to: meaning and significance of custom duties, types of custom duties in India, acts and rules and regulations related to customs duties in India, restriction on import and export of goods, warehousing, provisions related to baggage and special provisions. Now let's discuss restriction on import and export. Under subsection D of section 111 and subsection D of section 113, any goods which are imported or attempted to be imported and exported or attempted to be exported contrary to any prohibition imposed by or under the Customs Act or any other law for the time being in force shall be liable to confiscation. The terms prohibited goods have been defined in subsection 33 of section 2 of the Customs Act as meaning any goods the import or export of which is subject to any prohibition under the Customs Act or any other law for the time being in force. The prohibition can either be absolute or conditional, the specified purposes for which is a notification under section 11 can be issued are maintenance of the security of India, prevention and shortage of goods in the country, conservation of foreign exchange, safeguarding balance of payments, etc. The central government has issued many notifications to prohibit import of sensitive goods such as coins, obscene books, printed waste paper containing pages of any holy books, armored guard, fictitious stamps, explosives, narcotic drugs, rock salt, saccharine, etc. No person may claim a license or certificate of permission as a right, and the Director General of Foreign Trade or the licensing authority shall have the power to refuse to grant or renew a license, certificate or permission in accordance with the provisions of the Act and the rules made thereunder. Any importer or exporter, for being knowingly concerned in any fraudulent evasion of any prohibition under the Customs Act or any other law for the time being in force, in respect to any import or export of goods, shall be liable to punishment with imprisonment for a maximum term of 3 years, 7 years in respect of notified goods, under Section 135 of the Customs Act. Any person who is reasonably believed to be guilty of an offence punishable under Section 135 may be arrested under the provisions of Section 104 of the Customs Act. Now let's discuss illegal export and import. Illegal import means the import of any goods in contravention of the provisions of this Act or any other law for the time being in force, and illegal export means any export in contravention of the current provision. This can be understood under the following heads. Persons possessing notified goods to intimate the place of storage, etc. Precautions to be taken by persons acquiring notified goods. Persons possessing notified goods to maintain accounts. Sale, etc. of notified goods to be evidenced by vouchers. First is persons possessing notified goods to intimate the place of storage, etc. Every person who owns, possesses, or controls on the notified date any notified goods shall, within 7 days from that date, deliver to the proper officer a statement in such form, in such manner, and containing such particulars as may be specified by the rules made in this behalf, in relation to the notified goods owned, possessed, or controlled by him, and the place where such goods are kept or stored. Every person who acquires after the notified date any notified goods shall, before making such acquisition, deliver to the proper officer an intimation containing the particulars of the place where such goods are proposed to be kept or stored. If any person intends to shift any notified goods to any place other than the intimated place, he shall, before taking out such goods from the intimated place, deliver to the proper officer an intimation containing the particulars of the place to which such goods are proposed to be shifted. No person shall, after the expiry of 7 days from the notified date, keep or store any notified goods at any place other than the intimated place. Where any notified goods have been sold or transferred, such goods shall not be taken from one place to another unless they are accompanied by the voucher referred to in Section 11F. Second is precautions to be taken by persons acquiring notified goods. No person shall acquire, except by gift or succession from any other individual in India, after the notified date, any notified goods, unless such goods are accompanied by the voucher referred to in Section 11F or the memorandum referred to in subsection 2 of Section 11G, as the case may be. In the case of a person who has himself imported any goods, any evidence showing the clearance of such goods by the customs authorities, unless he has taken, before acquiring such goods from a person other than a dealer having a fixed place of business, such reasonable steps as may be specified by rules made in his behalf to ensure that the goods so acquired by him are not goods which have been illegally imported. The third is persons possessing notified goods to maintain accounts. Every person who, on or after the notified date, owns, possesses, controls, or acquires any notified goods shall maintain in such form and in such manner as may be specified by rules made in this behalf a true and complete account of such goods, and shall, as often as he acquires or parts with any notified goods, make an entry in the said account in relation to such acquisition or parting with, and shall also state therein the particulars of the person from whom such goods have been acquired or in whose favor such goods have been parted with, as the case may be, and such account shall be kept along with the goods at the place of storage of the notified goods to which such accounts relate. Every person who owns, possesses, or controls any notified goods and who uses any such goods for the manufacture of any other goods shall maintain in such form, in such manner, and containing such particulars as may be specified by rules made in this behalf, a true and complete account of the notified goods so used by him, and shall keep such account at the intimated place. Fourth is sale, etc. of notified goods to be evidenced by vouchers. On and from the notified date, no person shall sell or otherwise transfer any notified goods unless every transaction in relation to the sale or transfer of such goods is evidenced by a voucher in such form and containing such particulars as may be specified by rules made in this behalf. Now before we go further, let's discuss date of determination of duty and tariff valuation of imported goods. The rate of duty, rate of exchange and valuation applicable to any imported goods shall be the rate and the valuation in force. In case of goods entered for home consumption on the date on which a bill of entry in respect of such goods is presented under that section. In case of goods cleared from a warehouse on the date on which the goods are actually removed from the warehouses. In case of any other goods on date of payment of duty. The central government has been empowered to fix values for any product which are called tariff values. If tariff values are fixed for any goods, ad valorem duties are to be calculated with reference to such tariff values. The tariff values may be fixed for any class of imported or export goods having regard to the trend of value of such or like goods, and the same has to be notified in the official gazette. In case of exported goods, provisions of subsection 1 of section 14 provide a complete code of valuation. For valuation of export goods, this criteria specified in the section is fully applicable, and normally FOB, that is free on board value, is considered after excluding cost of international insurance and freight. In case of imported goods, the valuation is done according to the customs valuation, determination of price of imported goods, rules 1988. The customs valuation rule follow the WTO customs valuation agreement. According to the rules, the value of imported goods shall be the transaction value. Now let's discuss warehousing. The importers who do not intend clearing the imported goods for home consumption straight away may choose to warehouse the goods, that is, store the goods under customs control or custody, and clear the same subsequently either wholly or in part in piecemeal on payment of customs duty due. Sections 57 to 72 of the Act deals with the various provisions related to warehousing of imported goods like appointing of public warehouses, licensing of private warehouses, warehousing bond, conditions for warehousing of certain goods, permission for deposit of goods in a warehouse, period for which goods may remain warehoused, control over warehoused goods, payment of rent and warehouse charges. In case of capital goods intended for use in any 100% export-oriented undertaking, period for which goods may remain warehoused till the expiry of 5 years. In the case of any other goods, it is till the expiry of 1 year. With the sanction of the proper officer and on payment of the prescribed fees, the owner of any goods may either before or after warehousing the same inspect the goods, separate damaged or deteriorating goods from the rest, sort the goods or change their containers for the purpose of preservation, sale, export, or disposal of the goods, deal with the goods or change their containers in such manner as may be necessary to prevent loss or deteriorating or damage the goods, show the goods for sale, take samples of goods without entry for home consumption and, if the proper officer permits, without payment of duty on such samples. Private bonded warehouse exclusively for exports may be set up in DTA as per the terms and conditions of the notifications issued by Department of Revenue. Such warehouse shall be entitled to procure the goods from domestic manufacturers without payment of duty. The supplies made by the domestic supplier to the notified warehouses shall be treated as physical exports, provided the payments for the same are made in free foreign exchange. Now let's discuss some provisions related to baggage. Baggage means belonging of a person traveling from one place to another. The baggage mainly constitutes household articles or personal effects. It can either be accompanied baggage or unaccompanied baggage. There are two types of baggage. Accompanied baggage. These are the goods brought by the traveler in the same transportation means of his or her arrival. Unaccompanied baggage. These are the goods covered by a bill of lading. These goods must come from the country or countries of passenger origin or stay. Baggage can be cleared through the two channels based on the nature of the goods. First is red channel, which is adopted in case of not having dutiable goods. Passengers can walk through these manned by customs officials, thereby declaring the baggage orally. Second is red channel, having dutiable goods. Thus, such passengers can walk through this channel. Items which are considered as baggage are boats, canoes, kayaks, small sailing boat, pedal boat, folding craft, inflatables or dismountable and similar craft without engines, skates, bicycles and similar items without motor, movie and video cameras, cameras and binoculars, notebooks and similar objects. Items not eligible for free allowance are firearms and cartridges of firearms exceeding 50, cigarettes exceeding 200 or cigars exceeding 50 or tobacco exceeding 250 grams, alcoholic liquor and wines in excess of 1 liter each, any article that does not accompany you, that is unaccompanied baggage, gold in any form or other than ornaments, silver in any form other than ornaments. Following items are not considered as baggage: motorcycle, labyrinths with motor, moped, trailers and other land automotive vehicles, airplanes, boats, jet skis, engines, goods whose quantity, nature and variety indicate their use for commercial or industrial purposes. In the case of a person transferring his residence to India, there are certain additional benefits that the passenger is allowed subject to certain conditions. There should be minimum stay of 2 years abroad, immediately preceding the date of his arrival on transfer of residence. However, short visits are permitted, but total stay in India on short visits during the 2 preceding years should not exceed 6 months. Next is import of baggage of deceased person. Used bona fide personal and household articles of a deceased person are allowed free of duty, subject to the condition that a certificate from the concerned Indian Embassy or High Commission is produced regarding the ownership of the goods by the deceased person. Domestic pets like dogs, cats, birds, etc. may be imported. Import of animals and birds is governed by strict health certificate regulations. Next is export of gold jewelry as baggage. There is no value limit on the export of gold jewelry by a passenger through the medium of baggage so long as it constitutes the bona fide baggage of the passenger. Export of Indian currency is strictly prohibited. However, Indian residents, when they go abroad, are allowed to take with them Indian currency to a certain prescribed limit. Indians going abroad are permitted to take with them foreign currency without any limit as long as the same has been purchased from an authorized foreign exchange. Now at last, let's discuss some special provisions. First is goods imported and exported by post. If you have been sent an item from overseas and custom charges are due, Royal Mail will hold the item and send you a fee-to-pay card letting you know how much you owe. In the case of parcel force, a letter will be sent explaining the amount to be paid. Where custom charges are payable, Royal Mail levy a handling fee to cover the cost of operating the postal. Customs depot carrying out customs formalities, paying the import charges on the importer's behalf and collecting it from them. Royal Mail may also handle the package for customs examination and If required, open, repack and reseal the package if information is missing from the declaration. Items that have outstanding customs charges are kept at the local delivery office for 3 weeks. If they are not paid for and collected, or if no inquiries are made, they return to the sender. Royal Mail fee are itemized separately on the charge label and collected at the same time as custom charges. Second is stores provision. Stores may be allowed to be warehoused without assessment to duty where any imported goods are entered for warehousing and the importer makes and subscribes to a declaration that the goods are to be supplied as stores to vessels or aircrafts without payment of import duty. Goods produced or manufactured in India and required as stores on any foreign-going vessel or aircraft may be exported free of duty in such quantities as the proper officer may determine, having regard to the size of the vessel or aircraft, the number of passengers and crew, and the length of the voyage or journey on which the vessel or aircraft is about to depart. Concessions in respect of imported stores for the Navy are: imported stores specified in subsection 3 may without payment of duty be consumed on board a ship of the Indian Navy. The provisions of section 69 and chapter 10 shall apply to stores specified in subsection 3 as they apply to other goods subject to the modifications that: for the words exported to any place outside India or the word exported wherever they occur, the words taken on board a ship of the Indian Navy shall be substituted. For the words 98% in subsection 1 of section 74, the words the whole shall be substituted. The stores referred to in subsections 1 and 2 are the following: stores for the use of a ship of the Indian Navy, stores supplied free by the government for the use of the crew of a ship of the Indian Navy in accordance with their conditions of service. Now let us check if we have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. Customs duty is a kind of direct tax which is realized on goods of international trade. Right or wrong? Wrong. Any goods, the import or export of which is subject to any prohibition under the Customs Act or any other law for the time being in force is called prohibited goods. Right or wrong? Right. Illegal export means the import of any goods in contravention of the provisions of this Act or any other law for the time being in force. Right or wrong? Wrong. Now let's revise what we have studied till now. The Customs Act was formulated in 1962 to prevent illegal imports and exports of goods. Duties of customs are levied on goods imported or exported from India at the rate specified under the Customs Tariff Act. For the purpose of exercising proper surveillance over imports and exports, the central government has the power to notify the ports and airports for the unloading of imported goods and loading of exported goods, the places for clearance of goods imported or to be exported, the routes by which above goods may pass by land or inland water into or out of Indian, and the ports, which alone shall be coastal ports. The different duties under custom duty in India include basic duty, additional duty, countervailing duty, anti-dumping duty, protective duty, export duty. In bearing with the main objective of the customs duty, any goods which are imported or attempted to be imported and exported or attempted to be exported contrary to any prohibition imposed by or under the Customs Act or any other law for the time being force shall be liable to confiscation. Illegal import is the import of any goods in contravention of the provisions of this Act or any other law for the time being in force. Countervailing duty is the duty which is equivalent to central excise duty leviable on a like product manufactured in India. Import-export policy is import of goods into and export from India is regulated by the Foreign Trade Policy issued from time to time by Government of India. The policy remains in force for 5 years and is amended from time to time.